And the cycle is finally complete. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another toasty kit bash, the 4 of 4 in my series of building Adeptus Mechanicus Assassins. This time we are tackling the Eversor, I think that's how that's pronounced. The last, and in my opinion, worst looking assassin of the bunch in terms of GW stuff. The original model, in my opinion, is just... it looks too heroic. For a guy who's supposed to be so hopped up on stims and combat drugs that he should be barely conscious, he cuts in a rather heroic looking figure, in my humble opinion, which means that I wanted to take this one and twist it to a more grim, dank, kind of bad version. Bad as in good, you know what I mean? So another thing for this is that I built it completely out of spare parts, just leftover odds and ends of other projects and other builds that I had already completed. So I essentially made a brand new model for exactly $0, which was kind of a fun and challenging experience. But that is enough of me talking. I'm sure you want to see how this guy actually ends up looking, so let's get right into the build. Starting off, we have a list of parts and pieces that I used to accomplish the core parts of this build. We had some Delac legs left over from the Elites box kit and just some models that I wasn't using at the time. Necromunda boxes got so many pieces, you're gonna have plenty of leftovers, and in my opinion, they're one of the best sources of bits if you're trying to build out an early stage sort of bits box. We have another leftover torso, a Sicarian one this time. I don't really even know what this is from specifically. I think it's an alpha torso or something like that that just ended up never being used. And finally, we have the most angry Delac head that I could find. And I shaved down the weird stuff on the back of his head because I didn't feel like it would really suit this model, and I knew that part would be really visible in the build I was aiming for. So we're using some already established motifs in my design language for my Admech army at this point. I have used the Delac models before as my Electro Priest proxies and in my other assassin builds as well. So this is all kind of well-tread territory for the internal consistency of my army's kind of visual style, which is always a nice bonus to have. And also just some of the detailed bits besides the Sicarian arms, which I didn't bother including in this rundown. We have the backpack and gun coils from a Manipulus kit, and also the cables and not the foot also coming from the Manipulus kit. So with this model, I wanted to do something really interesting, which was experiment more with posing, which I hadn't done a ton of before. But for this guy, I had a really strong concept. I wanted there to be some sort of huge biomechanical backpack structure thing that was literally weighing him down. And I wanted him to be super hunched over in a really uncomfortable looking position as these sort of combat stims and everything were basically just turning him into a mindless killing machine on the field, which is kind of what the lore of these people are supposed to be. And I just wanted to kind of enhance those more inhuman, animalistic aspects of this character. So the first thing I wanted to do was find a good way to attach the torso to the legs. I couldn't just glue one onto the other in this case because it would mess up the proportions a bit. The Delac already have kind of weirdly long legs, and the Sicarian torso is a little bit truncated, so just gluing them onto each other would result in a dude who is literally all legs, and not in the good way. So I needed to find a way to elongate that torso and also to put it in the proper position to give him that hunched over posture. That is where the Manipulus's cables come in. I begin by clipping them away from the sort of like the cloak edge and his foot and that whole situation that's going on there. as well as the other edge, which is attached to the basing element. This took a lot of experimentation, dry fitting, patience, and just shaving things down until I finally got them in a pretty solid position. But in order for them to join well with the torso, I also had to shave the torso flat carefully using the edge of my hobby knife. In the final construction of this segment, I was really happy with the position of the torso compared to the legs. The posture was just right, but there was some extra space that I would need to fill in later with some spare cables that I would eventually shave down and attach. The next portion of the build was the backpack, which I first attached the coils on top of because those didn't really have a nice exterior facing to them. I really just wanted that kind of ring of different techno stuff. And then after that, I attached the backpack on top of that. Both of these were attached with using a little bit of sprue goo, a hobbyist best friend, and really nice for joining those plastic parts that aren't necessarily meant to go together smoothly. Attaching the Sicarian's arm was, you know, that's how the kit is supposed to go, so that was relatively painless. But to get the hand on, I wanted to use the cord claw components for this, and they were facing in the wrong direction. So first I had to trim off the little nubbin that was blocking their sort of nice access to the rest of the wrist connection there in order to glue those on properly. And hey, look at that. Gotcha. I also didn't stop at just 2 arms. I wanted a third, and that came from the Keratin Overlord kit, which I found had a nice circular connection that was almost identical to the Sicarian ones. So I decided to shave that down with a file so it shrouded over the shoulder of the other arm and had a nice solid join there before attaching the right arm and also all of the hands. At this point, the model was looking pretty good. I was quite happy with how it turned out, but there was just one small problem. It felt like he didn't have enough weapons. I mean, 3 arms and 3 weapons that's like pretty good, but he could have a 4th, right? And so I clipped off the little tail from the Sicarian Ruststalker Alpha that I also just had lying around, and stuck that into the gap produced by the coils component on the backpack to give him a little bit of a tail thing going on. And I was thinking at that point, yeah, this guy could probably kill a bunch of people. But that is pretty much how the build went, and it's completely just using things that I already had, which was a really fun experience to just not even worry about purchasing things. And to be honest, that's how a lot of these assassin builds have been thus far, with the exception of the sniper and also the exception of the Calidus. So half of them I didn't have to buy any parts for at all, which was, you know, a really rewarding experience because I got freaking 4 brand new models out of mostly junk. And that is one of the truly kind of rewarding aspects of kitbashing, in my opinion, is not only are you expressing your creativity in new and in unexpected ways, but you're also saving stuff that is refuse, things that would otherwise not really get used. But that is enough of me talking. I'm sure you want to see the finished result. So of course, slapped a base on them, did a little bit of priming and dry brushing, and let's take a look at the Eversur Assassin. I very much hope you enjoyed this video and took perhaps a grain of inspiration from it. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like, it helps out me and the channel a lot. And let me know if you got any exciting kit bashing projects coming up. I still have a couple of things on my mind, but I also have some more painting things coming as well. So if you don't want to miss more videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Peace!